Alright, everybody, so we are back with TEW 9, the War of Immortals save. We are here with WWF Classics, and tonight we are running the WWFC Superstars show. So we'll take a look at last week's episode, then I will get into booking this week's episode, and we will jump right into that. So, in our pre-show, we had the Bushwhackers defeat King Kong Bundy and IRS. Then we had Larry Zbyszko defeat Coco Beware, Paul Roma, and the Honky Tonk Man in a fatal four-way. We had Vince McMahon and Jesse Ventura talk about the matches we were going to see this week on this week's episode. Then we had the fabulous Rougeaus defeat the Nasty Boys to retain the WWFC tag titles. We had Jim Duggan talk about winning the TV title at King of the Ring from the Honky Tonk Man. We had the Twin Towers of Akeem and Big Boss Man defeat Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Kenta Kobayashi. Then we had Ted DiBiase remind Lex Luger about the winning stipulation of his match, the tag team match at King of the Ring, where Ted DiBiase and Larry Zbyszko defeated Lex Luger and Nick Bockwinkel. So now Ted DiBiase and Larry Zbyszko have the options of choosing these stipulations and or match conditions for each of their matches against Lex Luger and Nick Bockwinkel coming up at Saturday night's main event on July the 20th. And then in the next match, Lex Luger defeated Ray Stevens to retain his WWFC Intercontinental title. We had Rick Rude talk about moving on from facing the Ultimate Warrior after he defeated him at King of the Ring. Then we had Rick Rude defeat Earthquake. We had Nick Bockwinkel talk about coming up just a little bit short at King of the Ring. Then Nick Bockwinkel defeated Dino Bravo. We had the LOD talk about how upset they are over being screwed out of the WWFC tag team titles when the Fabulous Rougeaus got themselves disqualified. Then we had the Road Warriors defeat the Powers of Pain. We had Jim Ross come out and say, hey, you know what? I'm tired of sitting behind the commentary desk. I'm going to be a manager. And, as my first client, I'm going to have Dr. Death Steve Williams. Dr. Death then made his in-ring debut and defeated the Natural Butch Reed. We had Jake Roberts talk about leading the WWFC and winning the gold at King of the Ring. Then we had a phenomenal main event of the Macho King Randy Savage and Mr. Perfect defeating the Ultimate Warrior and Jake the Snake Roberts, having a 99 rated match. We're almost there to getting 100. Eventually we'll find a match that'll get us there. So that was last week's episode. I am going to go ahead and I am going to book this week's episode, and I will be right back. Alright, everybody, so we have our show booked for tonight. Let's hop in with our pre-show match here. In a pre-show that had decent wrestling but didn't have much heat, Chris Adams, the Bushwhackers, and the Nasty Boys defeated the Warlord, Barbarian, Dino Bravo, Paul Roma, and IRS. When Chris Adams pinned the Warlord with his super kick. So Chris Adams had the crowd heat is expected simmering. The wrestling rating got a 58. The crowd rating got a 42. The segment got us a 67. Chris Adams had a 73. Jerry Saggs had a 65. Brian Knobs had a 61. Luke and Butch had a 57. IRS had a 59. Paul Roma had a 55. Dino had a 52. The Barbarian had a 53. And the Warlord had a 50. IRS was off his game. Vince and Jesse have pretty good chemistry. The commentary quality lifted it. The color commentary gave it a boost. Slick did good work at ringside, and Jimmy Hart did good work at ringside. So, let's head off to our opening segment of the night with Vince and Jesse. Welcome, everyone, to another electric edition of WWF Superstars. I'm Vince McMahon alongside my broadcast partner, the one and only Jesse the Body Ventura. And Jesse, what a night we have ahead of us. McMahon, tonight's lineup is hotter than the 4th of July firecracker. And I'm talking about explosive matchups, wild grudges, and main event mayhem. This is must-see television, baby. That's right, our huge main event is Mr. Perfect going one-on-one with the Ultimate Warrior. two of the very best in the WWFC squaring off. It could shift the entire championship picture. Perfect's been calling himself the uncrowned champion, McMahon. And if he gets through Warrior tonight, he might just prove it. Also tonight, tag team action. The Rougeaus take on the monstrous force of the natural disasters. Earthquake and Typhoon are looking to smash their way into title contention. The Rougeaus have a backup plan or an escape route. And what about this blockbuster six-man tag? Nick Bockwinkel teams with the best of All Japan Pro Wrestling, Kenta Kobayashi, and the legendary Giant Baba as they take on Larry Zbyszko, Rick Rude, and the ever-dangerous Honky Tonk Man. What a wild pairing. Bockwinkel's got Japanese firepower behind him. Larry Z, Rude, and Honky. That's a team with brains, brawn, and a whole lot of swagger. And kicking things off tonight, well, it's not actually kicking the show off. Ted DiBiase's in action with Superfly Jimmy Snuka. You know that's going to be a battle of speed versus strategy. If Snuka doesn't watch his back, DiBiase will have him counting dollar signs instead of pinfalls. All that and so much more. Buckle up, folks. WWFC is live tonight, and it's time to head to the ring. So, the crowd is hot and rising. The segment started us off with an amazing 88. It advanced all of our storylines. Vince McMahon improvised well, and Jesse Ventura did a masterful job improvising interactions with the crowd. This angle got the crowd hotter, and the angle got the crowd off, or got the show off to a start. So, let's head to our first matchup here. In a wild brawl that had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, Hacksaw Jim Duggan defeated the Natural Butch Reed in 10:09 by pinfall with a running clothesline tackle. Jim Duggan makes defense number 1 of his WWFC television title. The crowd heat is very hot. The wrestling rating is a 74. The crowd rating is a 57. The segment got us an 82. Hacksaw had an in-ring performance in 91. Butch Reed had a 57, so that's a pretty good one. It advanced the Jim Duggan Boss Man storyline. There were times that it lacked a little bit of psychology and had a tendency to drift. And Butch Reed and Colonel Robert Parker have a good pairing and play off each other well. So that's a pretty good way to kick off the show here for our first match. So let's head to the next segment here. Oof, that was horrible. Oh, baby, you smell that? That's the scent of change, Daddy, because the boss man right here, the law of the WWFC is laying down the order. And the next piece of evidence in our case is that shiny little WWFC Television Championship. Jim Duggan, we see you carrying that title around like it means something. But you best believe, Hacksaw, your time is about to run out. The boss man, he's hungry, he's dangerous, and most importantly, he's got a mission to clean up the WWFC, and it starts with taking the gold from around your waist. Duggan, you call yourself a patriot, you walk around here waving your flag, hollering like a fool, but you ain't no hero. You're just the next convict heading to my cell block. You got my title, boy, and I'll beat it out of you by any means necessary. Justice is coming, Duggan, and when I'm done with you, the only thing that you'll be chanting is mercy. You better lawyer up, Duggan, because the boss man's about to lock you down. So, the crowd heat is still hot. The segment got a 62. So it advanced the Duggan boss man storyline. The commentary quality lifted the segment. And the color commentary also gave the segment a boost too, so, I mean, it could have been a lot worse apparently. So, let's head to the next matchup here. In a decent match, Big Boss Man defeated Barry Horowitz in 7:08 by pinfall with the Sidewalk Slam. Well, that's not even it. It's not the name of the move. It's the Boss Man Slam, damn it. The crowd heat is hot. The wrestling rating is a 64. The crowd rating is a 55. The segment got us a 65. Barry Horowitz had a 54. Boss Man had a 73. It advanced the Boss Man Duggan storyline. Jesse and Vince have pretty good chemistry when calling matches. The commentary quality lifted it. The color commentary gave it a boost, and Slick did good work at ringside. So let's head off to the next segment here. Finally, a good promo from him again. Lex Luger, the so-called total package, the man with the muscle, the pose, the title, but no brains. You see, Luger, ever since King of the Ring, you've been walking around like you're untouchable, like you've proven something to the world, but you haven't proven anything to me. Now, I could have stepped into that ring and taken the Intercontinental title from you myself, but where's the fun in that? You see, I've got resources, Luger. I got power, and I found a man who's going to give you the fight of your life tonight. He's faster than you, stronger than you, and most importantly, he's hungrier than you. While you're walking around with the little title like it's your birthright, this man's been preparing, waiting, planning, and tonight he's going to cash in on all that preparation at your expense. You want to know who it is, Lex? Well, you'll find out soon enough. But just know this, when the bell rings and that man stands across from you, you'll realize that your time as the Intercontinental Champion is about to come to a very expensive end. Because in the end, Luger, just like everybody else, you've got a price. And your price is paid in pain. So the crowd heat is white hot. The segment got us a 90. To advance the Lex and Ted DiBiase storyline. The angle that I used was a success, and the angle got the crowd hotter. So let's head to the next match. In a good match, Larry Zbyszko, Rick Rude, and the Honky Tonk Man defeated Nick Bockwinkel and the All Japan team in 1605 when Rick Rude pinned Kenta Kobayashi with the Rude Awakening. The crowd heat is very hot. The wrestling rating got a 76, the crowd rating got a 72, and the segment got us a 79. The Honky Tonk Man sustained a grade 1 quadriceps strain, so hopefully that's not horrible. Nick Bockwinkel had a 64. Kenta had an 83. Giant Baba had an 84. The Honky Tonk Man had a 68. Rick Rude had an 85. And Larry Zbyszko had a 72. Giant Baba debuted his authority gimmick and it got an adequate. Doesn't matter. Nick Bockwinkel, Larry Zbyszko storyline advanced. Giant Baba was off his game. The commentary quality lifted the match. Jimmy Hart did good work at ringside, and this match got the crowd buzzing. So Giant Baba got an 84, pretty much almost the highest in the match, and he was off his game. I wonder how good he really could have done, honestly. So that's not too bad, though, but it was a pretty good match. It also got the crowd buzzing a little more, too. So let's check his gimmick. Lost his hurt momentum more than usual. Whoops. Okay, well, that kind of sucks. So let's head to the next segment here. Yeah, wait now, George Scott, thank you. You know, folks, when I said I was bringing in the toughest man I've ever known, I wasn't exaggerating. This ain't just a friend of mine. This is a world-class athlete, a collegiate wrestling legend, a man who has knocked out more teeth than a dentist's worst nightmare. Dr. Death, Steve Williams. Ken Shamrock, I know your reputation. You're tough, you're dangerous, but you ain't me. You ain't been through the wars I've been through. You ain't taken the beatings I've taken. And kept coming. I didn't come to the WWFC to shake hands. I came to take heads. That's right, this man is about to carve a path through the WWFC like a tornado through Oklahoma. And Ken Shamrock, you just happen to be the victim number one, pal. When I get you in that ring, Shamrock, we'll find out just how much fight you really got. I ain't here for games. I'm here for domination. See you soon, tough guy. Business just picked up, baby. So the crowd heat is very hot. The segment got an 84, which is better than last week's promo. And it advanced our Ken Shamrock, Steve Williams storyline. as well. So that's not too bad. So let's head to the next match here. In a superb wild brawl, Lex Luger defeated Dick Murdoch in 11:55 by pinfall. The crowd heat is very hot. The wrestling rating is an 84. The crowd rating is a 77. The segment got us a 90. Lex Luger had an in-ring performance of 85. Dick Murdoch had an 83. Murdoch debuted his redneck gimmick and it got an initial rating of poor. Lex Luger Ted DiBiase storyline advanced. The creative finish I chose was a success. Jesse and Vince have pretty good chemistry when calling matches together. Let's check his recap. Doesn't really have anything, but it's poor, so that's fantastic. So let's head to the next segment. Of course, Paul Orndorff, you and I, we've gone to war. We've traded fists. We've bled. We've battled across every arena from coast to coast. But July the 20th. As Saturday night's main event, this all comes to an end. You strut around calling yourself Mr. Wonderful, but I see right through that mirror you hold so close. All I see is a coward behind arrogance. And I'm gonna be the one to finally shatter that image. This isn't just another match, Orndorff. This is the final chapter in the story that's gone on too long. And when the bell rings as Saturday night's main event, I'm not looking to pin you. I'm looking to end you. One last battle, one last fight, no more running, no more cheap shots. You bring everything you've got because I'm coming to break your will, your pride, and your ego once and for all. And when it's over, the only thing people will remember is that Sergeant Slaughter stood tall. So the crowd heat is very hot at the end of that. The segment got a 58. That was just horrible. So it advanced the Slaughter Orndorff storyline. The commentary quality lifted the segment. The color commentary gave the segment a boost as well. So let's head to our next match here. In a good match, Ted DiBiase defeated Jimmy Superfly Snuka in 15:31 by submission with his $1 million dream. The crowd heat is very hot. The wrestling rating got a 72. The crowd is a 70. And the segment got us a 79. Ted DiBiase had an in-ring performance of 83. Snuka had a 62. It advanced the Lex Luger Ted DiBiase storyline. And Ted DiBiase benefited from having a hot new move. So I'm just assuming it's not any better. Holding back. I guess that's just it, the holding back. So that's not too bad. So let's head to the next segment here. Jake Roberts, the man with the snake, the mind games, and now the WWFC World Heavyweight Champion. Congratulations, Jake. You slithered your way to the top. But here's the thing. You can't slither away from me. You've been hiding behind shadows, cages, and riddles, thinking that your aura is enough to hold on to that title. But Jake, this isn't about mind games anymore. This is about perfection. And when you're in the ring with me, all that mystique you hide behind crumbles in seconds. You can't out-wrestle me. You can't outthink me. And when the time comes, you damn sure won't be able to stop me from taking that World Heavyweight Championship off your waist. I was born to hold that title. Jake, and you're just keeping it warm. So enjoy your little reign, Snake. Because I'm not just coming for you. I'm coming to make history, and I'm coming to show the world what perfect truly looks like. Standing tall, gold in hand, and your legacy shattered at my feet. Now that is absolutely perfect. So the crowd heat is very hot. The segment got us a 90. It advanced the Jake the Snake, Mr. Perfect storyline. Mr. Perfect benefited from having a hot catchphrase as well. I wonder if there's anything kind of bad about it. No? I guess we'll just have to get Perfect over a little more to get better promos from him. So let's head off to the next segment here. In a oh whoop oh hey, that's pretty cool. Huh. In a decent match, the Fabulous Rougeaus defeated the Natural Disasters in 11:32 when Jacques pinned Earthquake with the Le Baume de la Rougeau. The Fabulous Rougeaus make defense number 9 of the WWFC tag titles. The crowd heat is very hot. The wrestling rating is a 71. The crowd rating is a 59. The segment got us a 77. Raymond had a 71. Jacques had a 78. Typhoon had a 69. Earthquake had a 66. It advanced the Rougeaus versus the Road Warriors storyline. Jacques and Raymond showed excellent chemistry teaming together. Earthquake and Typhoon showed excellent chemistry teaming together. The commentary quality lifted it. Jimmy Hart did good work at ringside, and both Jacques and Raymond have pretty good chemistry with Jimmy Hart as their manager. So let's head to the next segment. Oh, damn it. Jake Roberts, yeah, you got over on the Macho King at King of the Ring. Dig it, you climbed the cage and took what was mine, the WWFC World Heavyweight Championship. And don't get too comfortable holding my gold, yeah. Because when the time is right and the stars align, the madness is boiling over. I will take back what's rightfully mine. Oh yeah. But until then, I got unfinished business with a different kind of lunatic. The ultimate warrior. You've been running wild, thinking you're untouchable. But you're looking at a man who's been on top of the mountain and back twice. I don't know why you're saying twice. You've only been the champion once. And now my eyes are set on you. You stole moments. You stole momentum. And now I'm gonna steal your soul. Yeah. Jake, enjoy the view while it lasts. 'Cause the Macho King will be coming for the crown. But Warrior, you're first in line for a one-way ticket to the madness. And oh yeah, there's no escape. So the crowd heat is very hot. The segment got us a 92. It advanced the Ultimate Warrior versus Randy Savage storyline, and the angle idea was a success as well. So let's head to our next match here. In a decent match, Sergeant Slaughter and Steve Williams defeated Ken Shamrock and Paul Orndorff in 10-11 when Sergeant Slaughter pinned Ken Shamrock. So the crowd heat is very hot. The wrestling rating got a 70. The crowd rating got a 69. Our segment got an 80. Paul Orndorff had a 70. Ken Shamrock had a 69. Steve Williams had a 76. Sergeant Slaughter had a 66. It advanced our Sergeant Slaughter Paul Orndorff storyline, the Ken Shamrock and Steve Williams storyline. Sergeant Slaughter and Steve Williams showed excellent chemistry teaming together. The commentary quality lifted the match as well. So that's actually something pretty great to see there, that they have excellent chemistry. So we could work around that sometime a little later on, maybe. So let's head to our next segment. You know, Mr. Perfect, last week in that little tag team match, you got your moment, you strutted, you smiled, and you pinned the Warrior's shoulders to the mat. You think that makes you a better man, you think that makes you a champion. Let me remind you of something, Kurt. Lightning strikes once. You got lucky in a match that didn't matter, but when the lights are the brightest, when the bell rings for the WWFC World Heavyweight Championship, there's no luck. There's no tag partners. There's just you and me. And this belongs to the man who knows how to survive. A man who danced with demons and learned how to tame them. You, Mr. Perfect, you're walking into a nightmare you won't wake up from. Because when the DDT hits, it's not just a move, it's a message. So enjoy your little victory, Kurt. Because when the title's on the line, the only thing you'll be perfect at is losing. So the crowd heat is very hot. The segment got us a 92. It advanced the Robert's Perfect storyline. So let's head to our main event. In a superb wrestling, and about to head superb wrestling in great heat, Mr. Perfect defeated the Ultimate Warrior in 14:39 by pinfall with the Perfect Plex. During the match, we also had the Macho King run in and attack the Ultimate Warrior. The crowd heat is very hot. The wrestling rating got a 90. The crowd rating was an 83. The segment got us a 90. Mr. Perfect had an 85. The Ultimate Warrior had a 95. It advanced the Jake the Snake, Mr. Perfect storyline, and the Ultimate Warrior, Randy Savage storyline. Vince and Jesse have pretty good chemistry when calling matches as well. So that's not actually too bad. So let's finish off our show here. Yeah, we got a 90. Not bad, not bad. It increased our popularity in 9 regions. We could have gained popularity in the US, but we were limited, and one in Canada as well. So that's not shocking. Let's finish the show. Injury review. Oh, he's only injured for a week. That's not bad. We made 877,000. We went up 1 in the Mid-South. And we went up 1 in Quebec, Ontario, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, and almost 1 in British Columbia. We really need to get that Maritime one up. We are like way behind on that one. So let's finish that off. Finish that. Okay, so that is everything for this episode. I will see everyone in the next one.